Are you sure your body is still doing well if sugary foods appear in your diet almost every day? As a physician, I want to tell you one thing first. Sugary foods are not absolutely bad. However, if you consume them in the wrong way, too frequently, or fail to realize that sugar is present in many familiar foods, it may be silently affecting you. When it comes to sugary foods, many people only think of cakes, candies, chocolate, soft drinks, or ice cream. In reality, however, sugar is also found in many familiar items such as ketchup, yogurt, dried fruit, flavored water, honey, fruit juice, corn syrup, and starch. Why do we like eating sweet foods? When we eat sweet foods, sugar comes into contact with the tongue and activates sweet taste receptors. These receptors send signals to the brain, helping the brain recognize sweetness and activate the reward system. At this point, the brain releases dopamine, a chemical that creates feelings of pleasure and comfort. Therefore, when we eat candy, ice cream, or desserts, we often feel enjoyment and want to eat more. When you are tired, stressed, sleepy, or hungry, you are often more likely to crave sugary foods. This is a very common response of the body and the brain to energy-dense foods. Therefore, what needs to be controlled is not never eating sweets, but rather not allowing sugary foods to become an automatic daily habit. How does eating too many sugary foods affect the body? If sugary foods appear too frequently throughout the day, the body can be affected in several ways. First, they can easily lead to excess energy intake and weight gain. Soft drinks, milk tea, cakes, and candies often contain a lot of energy, but do not provide long-lasting satiety. Sugary beverages, in particular, can easily make you consume extra calories without realizing it. Excessive sugar consumption can contribute to weight gain, obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. Second, they increase the risk of tooth decay. When bacteria in the mouth use sugar, they produce acid. Over time, this acid can damage tooth enamel. Third, they can affect metabolism if the habit continues for a long time. The risk of excess energy intake and weight gain may be associated with metabolic disorders, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. Fourth, they can reduce the quality of your overall diet. If you use sweet cakes as a replacement for breakfast, drink milk tea instead of a snack, or drink soft drinks instead of water, your body may lack essential nutrients such as protein, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Are sugary foods always bad? Sugar can also be useful in certain situations. For example, in cases of hypoglycemia, the patient may need rapidly absorbed carbohydrates to raise blood glucose levels. Sugar also plays a role in ORS, or oral rehydration solution. In ORS, sugar is combined with salt in an appropriate ratio to support fluid and electrolyte replacement. However, it is important to note that ORS must be prepared according to instructions, and people should not arbitrarily mix sugar water as a substitute. In addition, for people engaging in high-intensity or prolonged exercise, carbohydrates can help maintain energy. However, this does not mean that people who are less physically active should drink soft drinks or eat candy every day. Sugar can be beneficial in the right situation, in the right amount, and for the right purpose. But sugar from daily sugary foods is a different matter. So, how should we eat sweet foods properly? You do not need to completely eliminate sugary foods. A more reasonable approach is to reduce sugar intake intelligently. First, you can gradually reduce soft drinks, milk, tea, and coffee with added sugar. Instead, prioritize water, unsweetened tea, or unsweetened milk. Next, when you want to eat something sweet, choose a smaller portion. Avoid eating continuously, eating out of boredom, or eating when you are not truly hungry. You should also prioritize whole fruits instead of fruit juice. Whole fruits contain fiber, which helps increase satiety and slows the absorption of sugar. In summary, sugary foods are not something we need to fear or eliminate completely. An occasional sweet treat can be a small pleasure in life. However, if sugar appears too frequently in soft drinks, milk tea, cakes, candies, and processed foods, the body has to silently adapt to it every day. Do not turn sugary foods into an enemy, but also do not allow them to become the one controlling your eating habits. Eat sweets mindfully, consume them in moderation, and allow your body to be nourished by healthier choices each day. I'm Monica Bellamy. Follow me to stay updated with useful health information.